Good afternoon, everyone. In terms of compassion, it was very beautiful that our Sister Veronica took us through so many different levels of compassion. And for me, what I was picking up that, deep within ourselves, when we go so deep within ourselves, and when we go through our own journey, and we experience so many things along our journey. And yes, when we experience the compassion from others, somehow it awakens that compassion within ourselves as well. So for myself, I was just thinking about in terms of compassion, how that was awakened within myself. Before I came to the Brahma Kumaris, I was sort of a very irritated and angry person actually, and so very easily get angry and react and get irritated with other people when just seeing their weaknesses and seeing certain behaviors, etc. And as along this journey and meditation, the more that one is able to deeply discover the true self, my real self, my beautiful self. And when Sister Veronica was sharing about, the self-talk, the journey of discovering my true self, so many things that I was reflecting on how hard I was on myself, not having, thoughts of not good enough, and so many things actually. And because of my own lack of self-value, etc., it was like projecting that onto others as well. And I found that more that when I started discovering the true lovely self and being kind to myself, and having good quality thoughts about myself, which I learned through the journey of meditation. It was the best gift to be kind to yourself, to be caring towards yourself. Because just one little thought we have, I'm not good enough. It's like we're carrying that energy, but that's the message I'm giving to the world. And sometimes we get a bit frustrated and unhappy. Why are people treating me like this? Why are people not being good to me? And so for me, that self-discovery and developing the self so much and getting in touch with my true real self just awakened that beauty and awakened that real compassion. And now, after many years, when I see people angry, when they hurt, or when certain behaviors, it's like so much compassion for them. And knowing, they don't want to be like that. They really don't want to. And when you listen to people deep down in their hearts, they want to be good individuals. They truly want to be good, but they don't know really how. And more with our meditation and more with our sharing, it's about bringing that awakening and bringing that deep awareness. If each one is able to discover the real self and bring out that true beauty, because there's so much within ourselves, there's so much treasures that we don't tap into, and we don't bring that out and bring that into our relationships. And the other day someone said to me, these days relationships are high maintenance. But everyone, many are challenged in relationships a lot. But when we have this beautiful, lovely relationship with ourselves and enjoy this beautiful, beautiful qualities of the self, then it's easy to give out my best in relationships. It's easy to bring out the best from relationships as well. And one of the things that I also really reflected and I saw deeply, only through meditation, when you connect with your true self, can you really see your strengths, can you really see your weaknesses as well. And one of the things that I found that why the anger was so much, I had a lot of expectations. The expectations that was so much that I expected people to be in a certain way. Expectations really opens the self to a lot of pain and hurt actually. And so working on that to really work and see that everyone is doing their best. Everyone is a beautiful being. The thing that was reminded by Sister was that whatever, was it me, is you are the, yes. And one thing that the beautiful practice that the Brahma Kumaris teach, that we are all lovely children of the beautiful Creator. And just holding that in our consciousness, it's like you come to that stage of absolute love for each one, no matter what they are and however, but there's such deep love for each one. Each one is a beautiful, beautiful child, my brother, my sister. And that that feeling of belonging, that deep, deep sense of belonging, that everyone belongs to me, that brings you to a lovely stage of acceptance and loving and being unconditional love, having unconditional love from your heart. I think I'll stop there.
That was lovely.
Any questions anyone have perhaps, or anything, your experience and your journey on someone being compassionate to you or you being compassionate? I know you all may have had some experiences along. Anyone?
This is something that I had in mind. I hope you don't mind. Because basically when I think about the topic of compassion, it's an absolutely great topic, a great quality and a great virtue to have, according to virtue. Besides compassion, I think you need other virtues to go with it. It's sorry?
You said that?
Yeah, I know it's honesty and truth. You mentioned that. And wisdom and gentleness. Yeah, and you said there's other colors that go with it. Yeah, that's what you mentioned. And that's what I just like to reiterate. That's it, I call it reiterate. Because it doesn't work on its own. Because one has to have wisdom as well. Because I think in some respects, if you are compassionate without having wisdom, you could also do wrong. In the sense that you're giving somebody something to go perform the wrong things by enabling him, by giving him power, okay, in that sense. So I don't know whether that's a debatable point or a wrong point, but there has to be wisdom that comes in. You don't want to create a karmic situation where you're enabling something to do something wrong, because you might label it as compassion. So I think the wisdom has to come in here, play its part and say, look, I will do it, not just willy-nilly, but understand there's a wisdom behind what I do, always. And the wisdom will come through God for meditation. Because God is the one that gives us the love and the compassion, and He's there, and that's we are tapping that into Him. And when we use that, then we should understand that what I'm doing in terms of compassion has to be in the right way. That's my point. So you can actually debate that or disagree with that.
No, I thought I had communicated that, but maybe not.
No, maybe I can relate.
Because we did define what compassionate wisdom is, and the kind of one that lacks wisdom. And the story that I'd shared was of the head of our organization, and she was conducting a retreat in Europe, and there was someone at the retreat who was very badly behaved. And so Daddy told her that she had to leave. And one of the other sisters, you know, like us, came to Daddy and said, "Daddy, you have no compassion." And Daddy responded, she said, "You have enough compassion for everybody on this retreat, but there's no strength in your compassion." And because Daddy knew that if that person were to stay, then not only would she probably create something not so nice for everybody else, but that really wasn't the point. It's that then those vibrations from everybody else would affect that person who was causing the problem. And so Daddy felt it's better that she leave. And so this thing of compassion with strength or with wisdom, which to the other person didn't look like compassion, but Daddy told her, there's no strength in your compassion. So of course there has to be wisdom. Yeah. And it will be clean when there's the wisdom. Yeah. Did you want to say something? Yeah.
It's more like a question. So, if compassion is not returned from the one you're having compassion for, does it equate to not having compassion to yourself? And does it become self-mutilation and self-sacrifice? So you mentioned about the Mandela situation, because I think justice and compassion should also be seen in a balancing scale.
Yes.
Because now having compassion to the situation that we experienced there in South Africa has also allowed that injustice to continue because justice was not served. And if justice is not served, peace cannot prevail. So, I'll repeat the question. If compassion is not returned from the one you're having compassion for, does it equate to not having compassion to yourself? And does it become self-sacrifice?
So if we're talking, and again, I don't know enough about the political situation here, I was talking specifically about Mr. Mandela and his compassion for his enemies, those who created that situation, and in going forward, how he treated and dealt with them, not out of anger or getting his own back or being vindictive or anything like that. And I'm talking about one-to-one situations. There's many stories that we're all familiar with, but in terms of an overall thing, so I don't understand from your question, what do you mean, like, did they not return his compassion?
We can also just see it as, if I'm having compassion for another,
Yes.
so they are not being compassionate towards me, am I sacrificing myself?
Well, I think in some ways that what you're having is not necessarily compassion if you're looking for something back. It's not pure, it's not true compassion. because it won't have a question, and it won't look for a result. And the example for me in this would be Christ. When at the end, he categorically said, "Father, forgive them. They know not what they do." He wasn't taking it upon himself to be the one who was showing mercy, but because of his natural compassion, again, he's asking on their behalf, in their ignorance, he's asking God to forgive them. I think that's very powerful, and that for me would be the summation of what, like, the highest form of compassion would be. That it wouldn't be a pro quid pro kind of a situation. Yeah. Yeah. That what, sorry? Yes. Again, if we're talking about the compassion with wisdom in it, that you're not using it as an easy way out, in a sense. But what's coming in here, I think, and I could be wrong, is not just one human being to another, but we're talking about a political situation. We're talking about many, many different layers. You know, anything's possible. Anybody can take, you know, the most beautiful thing you've given them and desecrate it, you know, and make it ugly. But what would you suggest that they not be compassionate in the first place? Like the little boy, was he going to weigh up the pros and cons and then decide that he should, you know, be kind to the little girl? I don't think so. But I feel that it's a natural human quality, and that it's something that ideally has nothing to do with, you know, political affiliation, your national. It's just human. It's humane, and not even just human beings. It should also extend to animals, I feel. No?
Also, I think the point that you shared earlier, that what I do to others, I'm doing to myself.
Yeah.
And so very much that I'm showing an act of compassion to the other is actually an act of compassion
For yourself, yeah.
Because it's not so much I want to return from them.
No.
But it's I'm living the truth.
Yeah, your own truth, yeah.
That makes me feel coming from an authentic kind of space.
Yeah, yeah. It's like honoring yourself, that this is, because otherwise, and that was the story that was illustrated. That one person thought she was having compassion, but she wasn't. It was something weaker than that. And sometimes what it comes from is a fear of not being shown compassion. I'll feel it, you know, for you, think, oh, they should have compassion on her, but it's really my own fear that maybe in a similar circumstance that someone won't show me compassion. Yeah. So it's a big thing, and so I do see it as, even though it's the original nature of the soul, love, in an idealized world, compassion wouldn't be necessary. Love is always going to be there. Compassion wouldn't be necessary. So at the present time, I am regrowing my compassion. I'm not in the fullness of compassion, but I know what it looks like. Yeah. Should we have a meditation?